Thanksgiving is a time of year when people sit in reflection upon wonderful memories of days gone by. It is a time of rejoicing, of celebration, of reestablishing the bonds of friendship and family. It is the pinnacle of our autumnal consciousness. But it is also a time when the specters and phantoms of the past emerge to dance as vague shadows along the stones of the amber-lit hearth, to flit as tattered shades through the dark, crisp November air. Blackwater Media presents A Haunted Thanksgiving. I thought that going to college right out of high school was intimidating. I came from a small town, went to a huge college with an enrollment of over 50,000 students. It was crazy to me how active the campus was all the time. If I thought it was a culture shock, though, it was nothing compared to what happened during Thanksgiving break. Now, I didn't have the kind of money to be able to go home, so I remained in my dorm room alone during the break. I didn't realize that this also had me one of the few people, not only alone in the dorm building, but on the entire campus. What had so recently been just a metropolis of people became a barren wasteland. If the loneliness wasn't enough, a damn snowstorm hit the night before Thanksgiving. I recall waking up in the morning about 7 a.m. and looking out across a completely barren and desolate campus. Now, I suppose this doesn't seem weird at all, but it was a complete shock to me. Honestly, I spent the entire day on Wednesday in my dorm room looking out over the campus. I didn't really even have the nerve to go out. However, I guess I began getting stir crazy on Thanksgiving. I got myself a frozen turkey dinner that I was going to make in my microwave, but I really wanted to get out. Now, there was a Denny's on campus, so I thought I'd go there and have dinner. The dinner went fine, but I was uneasy because there was another guy in the restaurant who wouldn't stop staring at me. And I was like, what the fuck? It made me uncomfortable. I normally like to take my time in a restaurant, but couldn't bring myself to do that here. So immediately after I was done, I was up and out. Walking home, I nervously kept looking over my shoulder. It didn't take long before I noticed that the guy was following me. Holy shit. And he was walking faster than I was. By the time I got to the dormitory doorway, he was already up the front steps. He called for me to hold the door for him, but I didn't. He seemed pretty old for a person living in the dorms, but if he was a student, he'd have an electronic key card to let him in. I looked back as I went up the stairs and saw him standing in the foyer. Now, I'm not sure how much later it was, but I heard a knocking on my door. I got up and looked out the peephole and was surprised to see the man from outside standing in front of my door. I wasn't quite sure how he'd gotten in, nor how he found my room. Rather than acknowledge him, however, I went back to my desk quietly. He knocked a few more times and then left. About 5 hours later, I heard another knock at the door. At first, I of course expected it to be that man again. However, when I looked at the peephole, it was the campus police, and I let them in. One of the other students that was in my dorm building had gotten attacked earlier in the day, and they wanted to know if I'd seen anything suspicious. I explained my experience to them. They had arrested a suspect, and I had to go with them to see if I could identify the person. It indeed was the man who had followed me home from Denny's. He apparently had gone door to door knocking and hadn't known where I was. He eventually came across someone who opened their door, and the person who did paid a terrible, terrible price.